Morning, Nick.
Morning, Rebecca. How are you?
I'm dandy. How about you?
It's bad. A bit cold here. It's a bit bleak outside.
Oh, it's freezing here. I was going to say, you'd think it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon with the lighting. It's just terrible. It's so windy.
That's awful. My new addition to bring my banana plant in. I don't think it would last the night.
Oh, no, it's absolutely freezing out here today. It's just not walking weather.
No, I don't think we're leaving the house today.
No. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself then and your background and sort of how you got
Yeah.
how you started off with First Intuition?
Well, many years ago, I was going to be a farmer, much like my dad, and his dad before him, and his dad before him. And I actually went off to university to study agriculture. So I did that for 3 years, and I'm not going to lie, didn't work very hard. Didn't get a great degree, but because my dad had a farm, what could go wrong? So I came home to the family farm, and that was in about 2002 or something, right in the middle of the foot and mouth crisis, and agriculture wasn't doing very well. And he looked at me and I looked at him, and he said, one of us got to get a job. And I thought, oh, it means me. This wasn't the plan. So then I got a job doing bookkeeping for an agricultural consultancy firm. And I'm not going to lie, didn't really know what I was doing. So at that point there, I went and studied AAT. And I really enjoyed it. So I studied AAT at my local college. And I then actually started my own practice working for myself. And, it built up quite a bit. And there was a point where I was doing some accounts and someone said, oh, you're not a proper accountant, which really grated on me. And I think there was a bank that said, oh, you've got to be chartered to sign something off. And it really annoyed me. And at that point there, I was working part-time for the agricultural consultancy firm and working for myself 3 days a week, I think it was. And in those days, I wasn't married with kids. So I used to do all the traveling around Northumberland, Cornwall, the Lake Districts, seeing all these farms, which was great. I got to see the country, but I was away an awful lot. And I got home one night and I was like, I'm sick of traveling. So I sent my CV off on a Monday night to all the local firms in Scarborough saying, I want to go get my charter status and study with you. And so I sent my CV off on the Monday night. By Wednesday, I had an offer of an interview. Thursday, I went for the interview. And Friday, I had an ACCA training contract, which...
That's amazing.
I do know that's not normally how it works, and I did land a bit there. So I worked for a firm of chartered accountants for 4 or 5 years, doing my ACCA training. And whilst I was there, the college where I did my AAT said, do you want to come back and teach the tax units? And I thought, well, I'm getting married. I've got a great deal of money. I'll do it until they sack me. And I did it, and I really enjoyed it. And actually, the first cohort, I got 100% pass rate in business tax, which I've never had before. Wow. So it was really good. And then so I qualified after do with ACA. And at that point there, to be honest, lots of recruitment agents get in touch with you as soon as you qualified. And one of them says, you've done a bit of teaching. There's an offer, a job here to go and teach AAT. And I thought, I was like, I want to do it. And I thought, actually, I want to be an accountancy tutor. Don't want to be an auditor for the rest of my life. And I went in it full time and never looked back, really. And I've been at First Intuition teaching AAT online for just over 7 years now. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I really couldn't. It's the best thing I've ever done. I really enjoy it.
It's having spoken to other lecturers before, they always say how rewarding it is, and just seeing all these students pass in and then staying in contact with them after they've passed and seeing where they've gone on to in the future. So yeah. I imagine that's lovely.
It is. And what I really like is you go and see them, you see them on LinkedIn, and they're like the managers and things like that, and they've got their own students who they send to us, and you think, actually, I remember when you were doing level 2, and they've gone on and have a great career. And what I really like about AAT itself is there's a lot of career changes in there. It's not like a graduate that's gone in straight into one of the higher things. So you get some really good stories out of it. So there was one guy called Will, and to be honest, I didn't think I did particularly anything over and above. I just did my job. And I got a really nice email at when he qualified. And he says, thanks for everything you've done. I've just got a job at one of the big four. And he said, who would have thought a year ago I was cleaning cars for a living? And then another great story that I say it time and time again, but I think it's a fantastic story. There's a lady who she was doing level 2. And at that point, she was working in a factory making sausage rolls on an evening to be sold the next day in one of the sausage roll shops. And she got her first job. I think the title was finance manager. I don't think it was particularly high paid or anything like that, but she got into her first finance role. And she said it literally changed her life, because now she can read her children a bedtime story on a night that she'd never had a chance to do. And I thought that's a fantastic story. And there's so many great examples of people who say, myself included, hand on heart, my life is better because I studied AAT.
No, that's I love hearing people's stories, because I think in the past I've worked with a lot of people who've come from other backgrounds. So they've spent 20 years in marketing, or they've spent 10 years, say, just doing something completely different. And then they come over and they can't believe how quick they can make the transition from AAT to something that they really do enjoy, working flexibly hours they want to work, and just in an environment that they really enjoy. So I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk all day about people, literally gone from one thing to another, and it's just improved their lives no end. There's so many great examples of that.
It's so rewarding. If I keep coughing or doing this with my throat, it's because I've actually got a chest infection. So excuse me if I keep doing that. I'll edit it out. Okay, so then tell me about the subject topics that you teach then, and also what qualifications, in fact, we'll leave that as a separate question. Yeah, tell me about the subject topics that you teach, Nick.
Well, I remember I went to the AAT Tutor Conference and I sat next to a guy, and the guy turns around to me and he goes, so what level do you teach? And I was like, all of them. I teach every unit at every level, which sounds incredibly daunting. But it's not. I mean, there's certain queries that come up time and time again that and there's things like that. And then there's other things that it is what it is. You don't get loads of queries on it. So you get to know the key areas that you struggle with in every unit. But I must admit, I am from a practice background, so my sort of favorite subjects are the 2 tax units. I do all the tax lectures at First Intuition. I do all the tax questions. I love it, because if it was me, tax would be a mandatory unit because everyone pays tax. It's not something that's specific to accountancy. Everyone pays tax. So I love it, and because you can get into like real world stuff. It's not some theoretical thing like fixed overhead variances that no one does. It's proper stuff that affects people every single day of their lives. So I love the 2 tax units.
I love tax as well. There was a point actually when I was doing those 2 units that I thought to myself, do I want to be in tax actually? Because I like how black and white the tax units are. So it's, these are the rules, these are regulations, apply it, go ahead, that's it. Yeah. So no, I agree. Okay, then so what qualifications then do First Intuition offer other than the AAT?
So we offer the full suite of accountancy qualifications. So we've got AAT, and then from there, some of our students will go on to do ACA, ACCA, or CIMA. So that's the full suite of accountancy qualifications. But we're also just launching some of the more sort of softer skills, with accountancy moving on. So we're looking at leadership and management, which I've actually am studying, because it's one of the things, doing my job, it's obviously helps you if you're very good technically, but a lot of it, is more soft skills, dealing with people and managing people, which is something that's not so easy to do. And then we're also launching digital apprentices and data analytics, because lots of practice firms are looking at data analytics now with big data and things like that. So we find a lot of clients want people to study accountancy and then move on to more the software side of things as well.
That's interesting, because again, just everywhere that I've worked in the past, there's always been those leadership courses available to management. and those softer skills that you learn, as you gain more experience, etc. But they're always calling out for those courses. So the fact that you've got them there, I think I'll be shouting from the rooftops to a few people who've been asking. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay then. So what have you enjoyed the most then about your career working at First Intuition?
Well, two things. I mean, the main one is seeing students go on and changing their lives, and think, actually, I had a little bit to do with that. And then the other bit is the people I get to work with on a daily basis. We have a fantastic team of people here who are as passionate about AAT as I am. And we can sit and talk about AAT, and we do for hours upon end. No one at First Intuition sees it as a job, and especially with distance learning, it's a lifestyle. So it's not a 9 to 5 o'clock on a Friday, shut your laptop no matter what you do, because as a tutor, we've got a real responsibility, because the people who pay our wages generally are paying for the course themselves from their own money, and they are trying to change their lives, and they've invested what is a good amount of money into something, and they want to return on it. So if all you get at the end of the day is just like a certificate on the wall, one of our courses, we think you could get more than that. People study because they want to get real world tangible benefits out of studying accountancy, and we've got a responsibility to help students get that, rather than just marking assignments and things like that. We want people to to get that first job, or get that promotion, or get that career change, because that's what they want.
It's funny though, because that it really comes through, and you can see that from the comments in the Facebook group. The always so just talking about First Intuition so highly, and a tutor stayed online with me to this point, and they got back to me straight away when I had a question, things like that. And it is the little things when you're really struggling with something, and having somebody to talk to about something that could be so small, but it's significant to them, but you're taking the time to, let's say, really help them.
Yeah, I mean, we all remember back when we were students, and actually we tend to recruit a lot of our tutors from our current students. So I think there's 3 people at First Intuition in my team that I taught, which it comes with so many benefits, because obviously they know how we work, they know what we're about in terms of our ethos, and they know what they would want as a student. And also from my point of view, they're good, and you can see the work, and don't worry about. So it works really well if your students then become AAT tutors, because they know exactly what we're about, but they know, and they've got fresh in mind about what would they want as a student, and they can see what they'd want, how they'd want to be helped, and because they were in that position not that long ago.
Absolutely. And I think having somebody you can go to who's been through the process and the ups and downs, and the silly questions that you think, oh, I don't really want to ask that because it's a daft question. Well, they've been there, they're happy to help.
Yeah, there is no such thing as a daft question. The only daft thing is not asking a question if you need help. That's absolutely why we're here. Because I get students to ring up and say, oh, I'm sorry to bother you, and it's like, you're not bothering me. This is my job. If people didn't ask questions, we wouldn't need tutors, and I like my job. And I'd so much rather someone bombard me with loads of work and loads of questions and do really well in the exam than not, and then not do well in the exam, and then we've got to go back and do it anyway. And we both want the same things. First time passes, want to pass the exam when you were ready and move on.
I think though as well, it's from my side with my experience, it's almost, it's deeper than that, because the way that you're teaching students to ask the questions and be part of that community at First Intuition leads on through your career. Because if you're an individual who's happy to share information with others and ask the right questions, etc., that's how you learn and grow in your career. Whereas if you're too afraid to ask questions, and you don't really want to bother anybody because everybody's so busy, that sort of thing, then you're not really going to get the most out of your career that you possibly could. So it just sets students up completely.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of like when you get a new member of staff, you tell them you should be asking questions. If you're not asking questions, I'm concerned, because you shouldn't know everything. We recruit people with the intention that they will grow, so that they don't come in and know everything. So if you're not asking questions, I'm worried. And it goes forever. No matter how far you go in your career, there's always stuff to be learning, and there's always stuff to be getting into and progressing. And no one knows everything.
No, absolutely not. I'm learning day by day, as I'm sure a lot of other people are. Okay then, so what opportunities are there then after you have qualified under AAT in terms of either career path or, let's say, further education?
There's loads, and there's a lot of students go, what do I study after AAT? I mean, one of the answers is you don't have to go on to study. Loads of people have a great career and after just studying AAT. So there is no, unless you go and do ACCA or something, that you won't have a great career. That's not the case. No. So lots of people, they do AAT and then they set up a practice and work for themselves, as I did, and be their own boss. And that's fantastic. It fits around family, fits around your lifestyle kind of thing. So that is an option. And obviously it depends on which optional units you did. So, if you did the 2 tax units, practice would probably be a good place to go into. Whereas if you did more cash and treasury and credit management, obviously, working in industry. And then if you were thinking of further studies, obviously industry seemed as a good option. Whereas if you want practice, it's more ACCA or ACA, where you would do a bit more with tax. So there's those options there. But there's loads of options with AAT. It's because it's such a broad qualification. You get experience and in financial accounting, you get experience in management accounting, and no matter where you are, having that broad experience will help you. So if you work in management accounting, you still need to have an awareness of tax. It's still something that you need to take into account. When you get into financial accounting, I myself, I worked in practice, but you end up doing management accounts for some clients. So having AAT and having a real good experience of both sort of facets of accountancy will set you up for a great career, no matter where you go with it.
That's a very good answer. I think I've got a question for you later. I'll leave it to last in terms of one of the top 3 questions that I get asked on the channel. So if I actually were there. Okay, so I will start with this question then. So the question that I mostly get asked is, what is better, working in practice or industry?
Yeah, I can imagine why you get asked that an awful lot. It's horses for courses. I look at the AAT salary survey. I think in industry they pay a little bit more, but then that's kind of offset the practice in general, where people start out and they pay for your training, which isn't cheap, and so that sort of offsets your salary because they're paying for your training. It depends what way you want. So industry, you get a real good insight into one business, and you get to see everything to the nth degree, and you're working in real time, and you might be looking a bit more forward into the future, making decisions. Where's that, which some people love. I actually liked being in practice because you get to see a wide variety of different businesses, and you get to see what's going on. I used to do the accounts for all manner of weird things, like a guy who had snow globes that you could walk into.
Oh wow.
There was that. There was loads of hotels in Scarborough, big farms, manufacturing businesses, little hotels, fish and chip shops at Scarborough Seafront. They make a load of money. You can see all different things, but you're looking backwards as to what has happened, and you don't see it in such sort of small details. But I mean, there's lots of people who start out in practice and work in the industry, and once you've gone into an industry, that practice background will help you. But there isn't a right or wrong answer for that. It just depends what you like, and I like practice. But I can, and I know people here, and Gareth, our director, me and him always have these arguments about which is better. He's one of those management accounting types. I'm a practice, with proper rules and things like that. With what I call proper accounting, not this management accounting. You can make it up, but then he argues that I'm boring and I'm bound by rules, where he's forward thinking and dynamic, but he's wrong. It just depends what you want. But if you are thinking long term, having experience in both would always be quite advantageous.
I think my answer So that has always been, it depends what you want to do, because there is absolutely no right or wrong answer. It just depends, where do you want to go with your career? What do you really want to do? Do you want to be in a business making decisions, or do you want to be reporting? And, reporting is very rewarding, having done that for 7 or 8 years before I moved into industry. So yeah, no right or wrong answer. Definitely
Yeah,
not.
and you build some great relationships in practice as well as in industry. So you get the clients that really do see you as a vested interest and a real business advisor. And a lot of accountants, you look at them now, it's not just chartered accountants, it's chartered accountants and business advisor, and that they really see their accountancy fees as an investment, because they're getting great advice, planning and things like that. It's not just here's your tax bill, here's my bill, see your kind of year relationship. They really do see value in their accountant.
If I tell you, my first accountancy role was trainee business advisor.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so that's absolutely true. Okay, so the next question that I get asked a lot is, I'm in my 40s. Is it too late to start at AAT at this point?
It's like planting a tree. I mean, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Do I wish I hadn't gone to university, spent a load of money on a degree that I didn't use, and then had to study AAT? Yeah, but I did it, and I'm so glad I did it. And if you're in your 40s, you're not going to retire in 10 years' time. I wouldn't imagine. You've still got a long time to go to get the benefits of AAT. So, it typically takes the average student sort of 2 to 3 years to do levels 2, 3, and 4 of AAT. You're still going to have 20 odd years of benefit from it. It's never too late to start AAT. We have students with us who are a lot older than the 40s, and they still get because as soon as you start studying, you will get the benefits of it, because it's real world stuff. It's a vocational qualification. It's not suddenly you complete level 4 and suddenly you've got all this knowledge that's now beneficial. The stuff you do at level 2 and 3 will start benefiting you and the company you work for. So you'll start getting the benefits straight away. It's one of the things that, there's no time like the present. It's like, putting it off and putting it off. At some point, you either do it or you don't. And it doesn't want to be one of those things that, you think, I will do, and then never do. Because I often find that students, as soon as they pass that first exam, they fly. Yeah. It's just getting the students that first exam. And a lot of our job is, half it's dealing with what's come in. The other half of it is dealing with what's not come in and sort of reaching out to students. And it's more sort of pastoral care as opposed to this is how you do accruals and pay payments. It's confidence building, and it's reassurance, and just saying, look, AAT are not looking for perfection. AAT looking for competency, which is 70%. You're good enough. Go and sit that first exam. As soon as they get that first exam passed, they're like, I can do this. And this thing of, I'm not an accountant. I'm not one of those people who could be an accountant. That's other people. That's clever people. I'm just me. I'm not an accountant. And then you get the exam, and you're like, actually, you can be an accountant. It's one of those things where you think accountants are all stuffy, really dead clever people, and I'm not one of them. And then you pass that first thing, and you're like, actually, I can do this. And that first exam makes such a difference, with employers. They know there's loads you don't know after you've only passed your first exam, but they know you've got potential, and it takes away all that cloud of uncertainty of you're not one of those people who could never grasp double entry bookkeeping. You've clearly grasped double entry bookkeeping, and you have so much potential. And it is one of those things that as soon as you get the exam passed, you've got so many more options to you. And that's what First Intuition is, sort of reaching out and just saying, look, you can do this. We've got you. Honestly, we've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times. You are capable of doing AAT, and then once that, and then fly. Your students, once they've got that first exam, they've got that confidence, they've got that reassurance, and they will fly, and they're like ticking those exams off to get that certificate, and then another certificate, and before you know it, you're AAT qualified.
That's it. It will fly by, absolutely fly by. Excuse me. And I'll say to that, if I can pass, anybody can pass. So have confidence in yourself.
I'm just a farmer with not a very good degree, and look where I ended up.
Okay, so the next question then is, I was going to study under the new syllabus and had deferred study as a result, but I'm unsure if I should take my exams in the current syllabus now, given this change.
Yeah, that was a shock. I'll be honest, we weren't expecting that. So, and we do know there's a lot of people who were hanging back for the new qualification, mainly to avoid synoptic for reasons I can quite understand. So, now it's been pushed back to the 1st of September. It's a long way away. So what we've been telling students is just crack on now. It's too long to wait. And there's a lot of reasons why that waiting is a bad idea. So, for example, if you were going to start level 4, even if the first unit you start with is financial statements, you're going to wait 9 months to start level 4. And in financial statements, a lot of that knowledge comes from advanced bookkeeping, which, to be honest, that's the first unit you do at level 3. So if you took 9 months to do level 3, it can be effectively 18 months from when you study accruals and prepayments and when you need that knowledge again at level 4. And so you would have that gap where you would forget what you've already learned, but also you've got that issue of you're not studying for 9 months, and that time that you otherwise would have been studying suddenly gets filled up with stuff, family, hobbies, commitments, and things like that. And then how do you get that time back? And you're also getting out of that habit of studying. As we tend to find students do level 2, 3, and 4, they're completely like, what do I do now? I'm just it's studying is what I do. And the other thing to bear in mind is if you were to start a qualification now on AQ 2016, you don't have to stay on AQ 2016. A lot of the units do carry over. So, we are about to launch a course where you can do advanced bookkeeping, final accounts preparation, indirect tax on level 3, get the bookkeeping certificate. So you've got an AQ 2016 certificate, and then the remaining units, you just do maths and business awareness at level 3. So you've got the benefit of avoiding the large units on AQ Quals 22, where they've lumped 2 big units together, but also avoiding synoptic. And the carryover, and you're not wasting 9 months of your career, because it's 9 months you could be further down your career, you could be qualified, where if you get a pay rise or promotion based on your qualifications, you get that sooner. And the other thing to bear in mind is everyone has this thing, synoptic is a hard exam, I want to ignore it. At least you know where we stand. We've got years of teaching synoptic. We know it's not easy, but we tend to find if you do the work, you pass the exam. We've got a new qualification coming in. We know what you're going to be assessed on, but we've seen 2 sample assessments. We don't know the level of difficulty, things like that. It's quite hard to judge how easy or hard an exam is going to be based on the learning outcomes. So sometimes it's better the devil you know.
Yeah, and you've got years of mocks that you can go back to. And
there's loads and loads of resources for AQ 2016 out there. The new qualification, I think, is a fantastic qualification, and there's big changes in it, which I think are great. But obviously, there isn't loads of stuff on YouTube and things like that on the changes. So there's no stuff on cloud accounting, big data, blockchain. I mean, there is, but it's not AAT focused. Whereas there is loads of free resources out there for accruals and prepayments and deferring, that sort of stuff that's always been in there. But the new changes, pestle analysis, I think it's a great addition, but there's not a load of AAT pestle analysis stuff on YouTube. So, you do have a bit more resource in terms of that on the current qualification. But so in short, I can't see any good reason to wait. I honestly can't. Start your next level now. And the other thing to bear in mind is, if you're a tight Yorkshireman like me, is the cost. There's going to be winners and losers. And so the AAT moving from a subscription-based model to a one-off registration fee model, which it's normally you pay £99 for the year, whereas now, for example, level 4 is £240, and you're on it forever. Now, if you would spend more than 3 years on level 4 under the old subscription model, you'd be worse off. But if you were to do AAT in typically under 2 years, you're going to be worse off under the new model. So it's actually probably cheaper for most students to do it on AQ 2016. So that's another thing to bear in mind. But yeah, in short, I just get studying, and every exam you tick off is one you don't have to do in 12 months' time. Your knowledge is fresh, and you will get the benefits of AAT sooner, really.
No, I'd agree with that. Some very good food for thought for those students. Okay, then. So the next question, so this is the final question from the students, is just, and we've touched on it actually a little bit, but can I undertake my ACA or ACCA with first intuition after I've completed AAT?
Yeah, I mean, we offer the full suite of qualifications, and you can study in centre and online as well. So we've got all those various different study methods, and we even have, self-study, and we sell our materials as well. So there's lots of different options, because we do appreciate, and everyone's different, and I think people recently have seen that online studying is as good as in centre. It's not like, I mean, distance learning's also had sort of it's poor reputation from like 10-20 years ago, where you'd put an assignment in the post, you get it back 3 weeks later with some biro marks on it. With the advent of the internet and Zoom and things like that, it's just the same as studying in the classroom, and it's horses for courses. Some people, and we often find as well at the later levels, further qualifications, that students, they don't see themselves as I'm an online student or I'm a classroom student. They're very blend. I will study, like law is quite a good one to study online because it is what it is, and then other students might go and study SBR or something in a classroom, and it flits around what their lifestyles and things like that. So it's not, people don't have this polar thing of it's one or the other. You can mix and match kind of thing, and I think people are very open to that now.
I think that's fantastic. We definitely didn't have those options when I was studying, put it that way. Used to break your back with all the books you were carrying into class every day, put it that way.
Yeah, I remember getting the 6:30 train station from Scarborough in the snow, going all the way to Leeds and back every single day. Yeah, I mean, at the time it worked and everything, but if someone said to me, "Do you want to do it from home?" I would have probably, yeah, really.
Home comforts. Okay, well, that's excellent. That's all of those questions answered. Is there anything that you want to add on top? So any tips or guidance that we've not mentioned to students?
No, I mean, in terms of studying AAT, if I had to pick my top tips, I mean, the first one is exam practice and mocks. I cannot stress that enough, because on exam day, for example, pressure synoptic, you're going to have to do a 3-hour exam that's got 4 written tasks to time. So don't think, I'll do it properly on exam day, or on exam day I will do the written questions, because you have to prepare to perform. So you do what you need to do on exam day at home. So when you come to exam day, just do what you've already done. You're just repeating what you've already done. I cannot stress mocks enough. And the thing is, you have paid, well, if you're with a online course, if you've got a tutor support, use it. I cannot stress that enough. The tutors are there. They're what they want to feel valued. Don't feel you're bothering them. You've paid them money. Get as much out of your tutor as possible, especially the written tasks, because they're very hard to judge yourself. You tend to get sort of 2 students. One who writes something really, really good, but because it's not the same as the model answer, think I won't get any marks. And then you get the other one who thinks, well, I filled the box, so that's 20 marks. Neither of it is like that. If you've got a tutor with years of experience, they can say, that's good. Add this for full marks, or that was good, but you're not actually answering the question, or no, we need to rethink this. And really get use of your tutor. That's why either there. And the other thing is, remember why you're doing it. We do get students who do it because I just generally want to learn about accruals and prepayments, and I'm bored. But most people are doing it to get real world benefits of it. And I know when I did my charter exams, halfway through, we had our first child, and actually think, I really need to do this now. I've got someone who's relying on me. I need to pass these exams, get qualified, start earning some money, and remember why you're doing it. Because sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes maybe you don't get the result that you want, and you just got to pick yourself up and think, you can do this. Remember why you're doing this, and very few people get through all their professional training without failing an exam. I failed an exam before, and it's not about getting through. It's picking yourself up and having that sort of mental tenacity to think, no, we go again, and you get through it. And then when you do get through and you fail the exam, it makes it even more rewarding because you think, actually, it wasn't easy. It was hard. And I had to, work really hard to get through it. So it's a massive achievement. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Anything worth having isn't easy, and anything easy is not worth having. It's the reason why accounts are well regarded, generally well paid, because it is tricky. But with hard work and the right support, you can do it.
I love that answer though, because I was speaking to James the other day, he's an ACCA lecturer, and he was talking about his journey and the ups and downs. But it's not often that you hear people talking about the ups and downs, because there are. And I failed my first exam at ACA, and it knocks me for 6. Really knocks my confidence at the time. But then I thought to myself, do you know what? It's a learning experience. I'm going to learn from it, do it again. And I passed every single one of them from then. And it came down to my study technique at the time. I was too familiar with my comfort zone. I wanted to be in my little bubble. I didn't want to push myself and do the mocks like you said there. I was looking at the mocks thinking, I'm not getting the model answer. I'm not getting this. It's not right. And that was just the wrong way to go about it. So you're going to have ups and downs, and that's okay. Just learn from your mistakes and have confidence to push through, and you'll make it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing that caught me out is not doing it properly. It was business strategy. It's that paper where you don't even need a calculator, and it's all writing, and I hated writing, and it's 2.5, and so I was like, I wasn't doing the mocks properly to time, and I was just, because it's just writing. There was no, you didn't use your calculator, and that's the one I failed. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to do a 2.5 hour written paper without a calculator, just right. And then when I studied properly and made myself do it, I passed it and I got through. But it's one of those things I could say, well, it's hard, so I can't be bothered, I'm going to give up, or think, actually, it's hard, but I want to do it, so I'm going to pick myself up and I'll redo and double down my efforts. And my professional training is the best thing I've ever done.
That's excellent. Okay, well, that is all the questions that I've got. Yeah, I just want to thank you for coming on, thank you for sharing your story. I'm sure the listeners will be very thankful, glued to the screen, I'm sure.
No, thank you. I really enjoyed myself. I'm really passionate about AAT. I think it's such a fantastic qualification, and like I say, so many people, myself included, that can say, doing AAT has changed my life for the better.
Absolutely, and it shows, Nick. It really does show.
Good, thank you. Love AAT.
Okay, well, I won't take any more of your time up there, Nick. But it's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope we can do it again at some point in the future.
Yeah, lovely. No, thank you.
Brilliant. All right, well, you take care of yourself.
You too. Thanks, Rebecca.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.